we've got a set of data. In this case, the following set of data represents the number of ice creams that were sold per day over the past 31 days. Now, what is wrong with this data? Well, not wrong with it. What needs to be done? What needs to be done to the data before we can jump in and start working? What is wrong with it? Wrong in quotation marks. It has to go into ascending order. Well done. It's not an order. Okay, so I'm going to leave you here for about 3 minutes to do that, and then to also do the first question, the 5-number summary for the data. Okay, so work for about 3 minutes, and then we'll check in, see how you're doing. Be very, very accurate with how you are arranging this data, and make sure that you have 31 values at the end. So the 5-number summary is the min and the lower quartile, or Q1, the median, or Q2, the upper quartile, and the max. Those values make up the 5-number summary, and let's see, yeah, you can prepare yourself as well for having to draw a box and whisker plot. And those are the 5 numbers that go into the box and whisker plot. But before you can do any of those, you need to first arrange your data. Right, if you want to check your data before you go on to do the actual 5-number summary, it's over here in the notes on this side. So just check that you got that right. So 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 5s, 2 6s, 2 7s, 3 8s, etc. And let's now use that to do our box and whisker plot. Okay, so the first thing to normally do, which is the easiest number to find, is probably the median, which is the middle value. So because there are 31 data values, I know some of you know the formula n plus 1 divided by 2. So you can go 31 plus 1 divided by 2. That's going to be 32 divided by 2 is 16. But what often happens with this, and why I don't like these formulas, is that people think then, okay, 16 is the median. But that's not what this means. It means the 16th data value, the 16th data value is the actual mean. Okay, so that's going to be the middle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So 9 is going to be the middle, the 16th data value. So that's our median. And then if that's our middle, now we look at the lower half of the data. That's going to tell us, and the middle of the lower half is going to be the lower quartile. So if you were here in the third term, you would remember we did this many times. So we're just going to locate the middle value of the lower half of the data. So the lower half of the data is 15 data values. So if we look 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So the middle of that would be the lower quartile. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 6 is my lower quartile. And then we do the same to determine the upper quartile. So we're just going to look at the upper half of and you exclude the median from that. So it will also be 15. So it will be the middle of the 15. So that will be 11. Okay, and then, so that's going to be your upper quartile. And then this is your min. And 21 is your max. And now you have to do your box and whisker plot. So since we have accurate numbers for the min, the max, the upper quartile, the lower quartile, and the median, go ahead now and draw your box and whisker plot. Now remember, it's not just as easy as drawing like a box and whisker plot. You need to draw a line with your ruler, decide on a suitable scale. So we've got 1 to 21 here. Maybe you want to go in 2s. Or I don't know, you can decide. Don't make your scale too big though. I think 2 is probably a good one. So if you draw a 10 centimeter, 12 centimeter line, then you can make that 0, 2, 4, 6, etc. But you got to have a scaled line for when you draw your box and whisker plot. Okay, so that's 3 marks, 3 minutes. So I'm going to leave you here to do that for about 3 minutes. Let me know when you're done, and we're going to check if your box and whisker plot is correct. Tell me, what is the n plus 1 divided by 2? That is calculating the position of your median or your upper quartile or your lower quartile. Some kids learn that in school, they learn it that way. Others just learn to count the data values, which is the way I prefer, but I do both ways so that everyone's happy. If you don't know that way, don't worry about it. Right, let's check those box and whisker plots. Okay, so you need to have your minimum at 1 and your Q1 in the right place, and then your median in the right place, and your Q3, and then your max as well. So our median was 9, and our low quartile was 6. Upper quartile was 11, and the max was 21. Okay, who got their box and whisker plot correct? With nice, drawn with a ruler, nice and straight. Who got it right? Nice, Anamika. I see you ready for tomorrow. Nyasha's also got his hand up. Good. Good stuff. Okay, let's see. Let's go on to the last stats question. Let's just do that. There we go. Okay, so here we've got a question on the estimated mean. So the table below shows data that was collected in a survey that was conducted by a certain company. So they've got the class interval and the frequency and the midpoint, and then the frequency times the midpoint. So if you remember, this is how you calculate the estimated mean. We do the estimated mean for grouped data. And as you can see here, we've got grouped data because everything's in an interval. Okay, so how do we do our mid-class interval, our midpoint? How are we going to calculate that? Put it in the chat. How do we do the midpoint class interval? What does that mean? What does it even stand for? And how do we calculate it? Are we dead silent again? Nice, Nyasha, that's right. So it's the class interval divided by 2. So we actually take the boundaries. So in this case, the first one, 0 and 10, and divided by 2. So 0 plus 10 divided by 2 is 5. And then 10 plus 20 divided by 2. 10 plus 20 is 30, divided by 2 is 15. And then 20 plus 30 divided by 2 is going to give me 25. And so on. Okay, so take a moment, quickly jot down the table or take a screenshot and then just finish the rest of the midpoint class intervals. And I think soon you'll notice a pattern which will make them very quick to do. $35, $45, $55, $65, $75. Okay. Right. So there's also a line at the bottom here for totals. So we can add up the total frequency. Do that now and pop your answer in the chat. There's no total for the mid-class interval. Okay, so just do the frequency quickly and pop it in the chat when you know what the total frequency is. Niasha's right. It's 45. Well done. Okay, and now what does this mean? F times M. That means we have to take this column and times it by this one. So the 5 times the 5, 25, 4 times 15, 60, etc. So do that now, finish this last column, F times M, and when you get to the end, add it all up for a total. Pop your answer in the chat when you have the total for F times M. Okay, Anamika says 1895. Any other answers? 1895. Mitchell's got an answer for the mean already, I think, for the estimated mean. Okay, so 1895 seems to be what people are getting. So 25 plus 60 plus 75. Let's add all of this up. 1895 it is. Okay, so for doing all of that, you get 4 marks. Okay, so but it's easy 4 marks, eh? If you know what each thing is and what this is for. So we're going to calculate the mean. And the mean is just that total 1895 divided by the total frequency. So we can divide that by 45, and that gives us, as Mitchell said, 42,11. Nice. So determine which interval will the mode, this question doesn't make sense. Determine in which interval the mode will lie, I think, for the data. I think that's the better wording. Yeah, determine in which interval the mode will lie for the data. Okay, who's got an answer for us? It's a 1 mark question. So the mode is the most. So we look for the highest frequency. So which interval is that? Mode is most. If no one's gonna offer that, really easy. It's this one here, 60, between 60 and 70. Whoops, there shouldn't be a thingy there. So it's between 60 and 70. Nice, Futsilu, that's right. Determine, sure, this language is terrible. Determine in which interval the median lies. So the median is the middle. So now we kind of have to look, if we have 45 data values, where is the middle? So we kind of have to go like halfway, right? So it's 5 and 4 is 9, plus 3 is 12. So the half would be like 22, 23. So anyway, where was I? 9 plus 3 is 12, plus 8 is 20, 26. So as soon as we cross over, so here it's 20, the frequency is 20, and then we cross into this class here and we get to 26. So you're right, Anamika, it's between 40 and 50. Well done. 40 and 50. Okay, so that's nice, 17 marks for this question. Everything together. So yeah, I hope that's going to go well for you. But that's really all there is to stats. Not much else that can happen in that section. And if you know your work really well, you can easily get full marks for that section. Okay, let's go on to good old analytical geometry. Okay, we've got about 15 minutes or so. Let's get started. Okay, we've got 3 points, G, K, and L. Determine the equation of the line GL. Okay, so if we are doing the equation, first up is y is mx plus c, right? So we need the gradient and we need the y-intercept. So let's go, let's work out what the gradient is. Gradient, I'm sure you guys can do. Remember, we are working with point G and point L. Pop it in the chat as soon as you've figured out what the gradient is, once you've calculated it. Nice and quick, Buchle and Nyasha. So we go 4 minus 1 over 1 minus 2. That gives me 3 over minus 1, and that is minus 3. Okay, so we can put that into our equation already. And now we need C. So work out what C is and then pop it in the chat. Those of you who are working fast, you can go ahead to 2.2 already. Okay, so to calculate C, which is the y-intercept of this line, we can substitute in either G or L and then solve for C. So I'm going to take G. If you took L, we'll get to the same answer. It doesn't matter. So y is 4 minus 3, x is 1 plus C. And that gives me 4 is minus 3 plus C. So C is going to be 7. Final answer is y is equal to minus 3x plus 7. Well done, Buchilu. Good stuff. That's it. C is 7. We just get that by subbing in. Okay. Let's go on to the next question. 2.2. T is minus 1/2 and 0. And it is the midpoint of GM. So there's a point here. Let's draw this one out because I think it will make more sense if we actually draw it. So G is 1 and 4. So on our imaginary Cartesian plane here, let's make G over here is 1 and 4. And T is actually, it sits on the y-axis, and it is here is minus 1/2 and 0. So I have G and I have T, which is the midpoint. Okay, so I'm going to make a star there because it's an important point. It's a midpoint. But this line carries on to point M. And we don't know what the coordinates are of M. But we do know that T is the midpoint. So we can solve for M quite easily. We did many of these when we were doing the analytical geometry, and Mitchell's already got an answer. Well done, Mitchell. Very impressed. So let's go here. We know that 1, the x coordinate at G, plus the x coordinate at M divided by 2, because it's the midpoint, is going to give me negative 1/2. So I can make an equation. 1 plus the x coordinate at M divided by 2 is going to be negative 1/2. And then I can do the same for the x's. So 4 plus the, for the y's, y coordinate at M divided by 2 is going to give me 0. Okay. Okay, so Mitchell says it's -4. I think you are very right. Okay, so to get rid of this 2, I'm going to times by 2. So I'm going to get 1 plus x is -1/2 times by 2 is going to be -1. And then we're going to take this one over to the other side, and it's going to be -2, because -1 minus 1 is going to be -2. Here we're going to do the same. We're going to times by 2, and we get 4 plus ym is equal to 0. And then the y coordinate at m is going to be -4. Okay, well done. So therefore, m coordinates -2 and -4. Okay, anyone else got that? Give a thumbs up in the chat if you did. Standard question. I love asking this question. I'm almost certain one of you will get it. Check Buchle. Nice. One of you will get it in a test or exam. Well, exam now, because it is that time. Hey. Uchilo and Buchle both saying sharp, sharp. Okay. Last one. Let's prove that Km is parallel to GL. Now to help us, I'm just going to write all our coordinate points here. We've got M is -2 and -4. And then we need to go see what G was and what L was. So G was 1 and 4. And L was 2 and 1. And K is -3 and -1. Okay, so I trust that you know what to do. How are we going to prove that Km is parallel to GL? What do we prove when we're proving lines are parallel? Can someone put it in the chat for us? What are we proving in order to show that lines are parallel? Nice, Buchle, well done. Okay, so we need to prove same gradient. I'm going to be quiet for 2 minutes, and then you guys can do that quickly, and we'll check back in about 2 minutes. Let's see. So we're going to calculate the gradient of Km. Km, I'm going to take minus 1 minus minus 4 and divide it by minus 3 minus minus 2. And then minus 1 plus 4. You can do this on your calculator. I am just doing it in my head, I guess. Minus 3 plus 2. And then you get 3 over minus 1. And then it's minus 3. And GL, didn't we work out what GL was? Yes, so we don't have to do that again. GL's gradient over here in question 2.1 was minus 3. So you can just say, and gradient of GL is minus 3. Therefore, Km is parallel to GL. You can maybe say equal gradients, just to show your teacher you know exactly what's going on. Okay. Right, guys, so that's equal gradients for parallel lines. Let's see what else there is. Okay, so we have to show that GM is equal to, KM is equal to GL. So what are we going to show now? Put it in the chat. What are we going to work out now to show that Km is equal to GL? We've just done equal gradients. So what are we going to look to do here? What are we going to work out? Buchle says same distance. That's it. Good stuff. Okay, so we're going to work out the distance of Km and the distance of GL. Now remember, if you're still writing your exam, you might not get a little cheat sheet with all these formulas on it. You must know them. But I'll write it down. It's x2 minus x1. You know, it's a bit like Pythagoras. It isn't just actually a bit like Pythagoras. It is exactly Pythagoras. But we can have that conversation another day. Okay, there you go. As soon as you've worked out your distances, pop it in the chat. What are your answers? Hopefully you get them the same, because that is what you mean to show. So these questions are actually quite nice, because if you're working out and you're getting two distances that are different, then you know you're making a mistake somewhere. Okay, so pop it in the chat as soon as you have an answer for KM and GL. Oh, thanks, Futsilu. At least I was consistent. And I did it for both X's, but not for the Y's. Obviously, I have something against the X's. Thanks, Futsilu. Yes. Zani's got answers already. Yes, tell us in the chat. What are you getting?
Do you prefer to, I mean, for when you calculate distance, do you prefer your students to leave the answer in a decimal or in a set form?
It doesn't really matter. But if the question says surd form, then you must leave it in surd form.
Okay.
Nyasha says KM is 3.16. I agree. I'm going to write it as root 10 just because I feel it's so much neater. And then all those irrational decimal places. And then this last one, let's see if we all arrive at the same place. Also root 10. Root 10 or 3,16. Remember, you must round correctly. Okay, Nyasha, check. Maybe there was somewhere that you swapped something around or something. Now, the last question is, what type of quadrilateral is GKML? What type of quadrilateral? Now, think about what we just did. We proved that KM is parallel to GL, and we proved that KM is equal to GL. So which quadrilateral is this? Given that KM is equal to GL and it is parallel to GL. Which quadrilateral has that property? Come, last question for the evening. You don't even have to see it. You don't even have to draw it, but you can draw it if you want to, if it makes it easier.
Yeah. Let's end on a high note. Like, everyone, put your answer in the chat, please.
Nice, Buchle and Vuchilo as well. It is indeed a parallelogram because we have one pair of opposite sides, parallel and equal. Well done. Okay, that's it for this evening, guys.